fortunate to work with Bill because everyone that had a passion for cows should have met the guy. I met him the first time when I was 8 years old. I'll never forget him. He was such a knowledgeable person that, I'll tell you a quick story. At the time we had 52 cows in our tie stall barn. We had a 52 cow tie stall barn. We ran around and we did the cows. We went outside and we started looking at heifers. When we come to maybe the sixth heifer, Bill's looking at her and he said, "Dave," he said, "I didn't see her dam when we were in the barn." Her dam wasn't in the barn. Did another few cows, same thing. "Dave," he said, "I didn't see her dam when we were in the barn." When you're a little guy about 8 or 10 years old, you're thinking, how's this guy know that? And why would he even go out on a limb to maybe be wrong? He was right. We worked with Bill, we worked with Charlie Clark, and we've worked with this gentleman for 10 or 12 years. And I guess the message I want to say is the consistency of the analyzers that we've been fortunate and basically blessed to know and to work with certainly deserve credit for some of the things that we've done right. This is a group of grandy daughters. The first one was all Pennsylvania 2-year-old in 1977. We exported her to Japan. The third, the fourth, and the fifth were members of our best 3 females that were nominated All-American. And the red cow was All-American red and white 2-year-old back in the day. So it's a pretty accomplished group of young cows, and they's probably all naturally serviced. This was a daughter. Of course, the Hickory Me herd has promoted and bred a lot of good cattle, polled cattle. This is the dam of Burket-Falls Houdini, who, if you ask Ed Johnson, his favorite bull of all time, it would have been Burket-Falls Houdini. My dad, in the 70s, he never used Ivanhoe, Osborndale Ivanhoe. How many of you, how do I want to word this? How many of you in this room never heard of Osborndale Ivanhoe? Okay.
Don't be ashamed.
That's good. That's good that you've heard of him, because, you know, in the 60s and 70s, he was the bull. We never used him at home, so my father, in order to get some Ivanhoe genetics into the herd, he went out and bought a couple Ivanhoe daughters because he wanted to breed them polled and get polled offspring. He went to a sale in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, right basically on the battlefield, and bought an Ivanhoe daughter, brought her home, bred her to Grandy, and got this cow right here, Ivanhoe Queen. And she was the dam of Burket-Falls Houdini. I started milking cows when I was 8. I've never milked a cow that had a better quality udder than that cow right there. That's a Burket-Falls photo, by the way. That's another story we'll pass on, but don't have all day. This is the Elevation Sophia cow. We have 2 cows buried in our lawn, our front yard. She's one, and the Princess cow is the other cow, the original polled cow. This cow was she wasn't my first 4-H project, but she was my second. Pennsylvania Holstein, on its 100th anniversary, had this contest of the most famous cows in Pennsylvania, and the Sophia cow was fortunate enough to be one of them that was one of the 7. I won't read this, but this was a quote from Horace Bacchus about the Sophia cow and the impact that she's made. And it wasn't only in poll, but she was just an elevation that I said already we could have bred her to that Hereford bull that I showed you a while ago and got a good one, because we bred her to a lot of the hot bulls, the bull of the moment, and got pretty good ones. She never really had a bad daughter. This was a daughter, a Romandale Shalimar Magnet daughter, and this is a little bit of the reason here why we got into the red. She was a daughter of the Elevation. It was a red carrier. So we flushed her to Glen Efton Enhancer, because he was a red carrier from what John Carpenter suggested. John Carpenter was the guy that run Red and White Association for a long time. But anyway, we flushed her to enhance her, and we got about 8 offspring. We had a couple red and whites and a couple black and whites. We put 2 full sisters in 2 different sales. The black and white full sister brought $3,500. The red and white full sister brought $42,000. So we figured we better pursue the red hair a little more. I just put this up here to the beauty. One of the beauties of polled is, and a lot of people don't recognize this, but polled is a dominant trait. Once you get polled into your herd, it's there and it can multiply quite handily. But a lot of people up until recently didn't realize, because all the 98%, 99% of the Holstein population's got horns, you just assume that horns are dominant. It's not. Polled is dominant. That's a shot of a homozygous polled, and I don't want to insult anyone's intelligence, but some people don't know the difference between homozygous and heterozygous. Homozygous is totally polled. Heterozygous is, you'll get polled 50% of the time. This one is not polled. But I put this on here to make a point that it's easier to comprehend polled and the dominance of polled. I tell the story, we had a guy that bought bulls from us for years. And he came there one day, and we always got a little more money for the homozygous polled versus the heterozygous polled. So we had this bull here, and I told him, I said, hey, why don't you try this homozygous polled? I said, he'll take the horns off, you know, all your offspring. And I said, in fact, I said, if you took that bull that you're looking at and bred him to 100 Texas Longhorns, I said, you'd get 100 polled Texas Longhorns. He said, now I know you're full of BS. He said, and some other things I won't repeat, but I think I got my point. He did take, this is interesting. He bought the bull, and from that point on, he had a standing order. I only want homozygous. I put a couple pictures up here to just make another point. The story that polled animals don't milk, they don't test, they don't have the type. This was a 93-point Rudolph of 240,000, a 4.9 and 3.5. This is 4 generations. Again, these are all Burket-Falls photos. They're not Sybil Fisher's, but we years ago started taking our own pictures because of various reasons. But the point here, there's 5 generations now. It's the only 5-generation Holsteins in the world that are all gold medal and all dam of merit. How many of you ever heard of these 2 gentlemen? Burket-Falls No Knox, Burket-Falls Low Knox. They were 2 full brothers out of the Black Star. I can't tell you which one's which now, but No Knox went to ABS, Low Knox went to 21st Century, or Gen X at the time. And this is some of the offspring again. This was a No Knox daughter that was bred at Cellcrest and went to Indian Head. This was a group of No Knox daughter, or Low Knox daughters at the farm. Here's one that won a show in the UK. This is Burket-Falls Alex too. He's an Alexander out of the Rudolph. How many of you get up and looked at the moon last night? I was up at 3 o'clock, and this is a little side note, but I got up at 3 o'clock. I forgot about the moon, and I looked out, and when you look out our kitchen door or kitchen window at home, you see this hill and area here. And we got about 5 or 6 inches of snow and ice over top of it. And the moon was right over top, and I thought, boy, that'd take a nice picture. The bull wasn't there last night, but it really was quite impressive. This is an Alex 2 daughter. It's a group of daughters. I got to give Ed Smith a little credit on Alex 2. We had 4 full brothers out of the old Rudolph. We used Alexander because Ed told us you need to be using Alexander. So we used him on the best cow we had at the time, and turned out to be a 4.62. And other than fertility, there was a lot of happy customers that used him. This was a top shelf, Shottle maternal brother. That was Polled Pledge. He was a Burket-Falls Special P that was a convincer maternal brother. Just another cow that was polled. This was a Jolt daughter, a polled cow that gave a lot of milk. Her best record was 35,000. She carried a 4.5 test. Polled cows can milk. This cow finished with 262,000. Another polled cow. This is Dominant. Most of you know of Dominant. This is a group of Dominant daughters. Another group. Another daughter. Now, I want to talk a little bit about this cow. And I don't want to talk about her in a bragging way, but I want to make a point. We have 86 tie stalls in our barn. And in the middle of the barn, there's a walkway that you go into the barn and the office, or the milk house in the office. We only have one cow that has her own stall, and this is the cow. If she comes in there and there's a cow in her stall, she'll stand right there in the middle of the barn, congest everything until she can have her stall. She's in a corner stall by her design. No one ever put her there intentionally. But she's the kind of cow that every time you walk by her, I'm switching gears a little bit too from the pole. But every time you walk by her, she'll put her nose out and nudge you or greet you. She's a kind of cow that I milk every day. I mean, I tell people the most enjoyable job I do is milk cows. If the cows are clean and the cows are good, I really enjoy milking cows. She's the kind of cow you can't wait to get to put the milker on. She milks out fast. She milks out clean. She does not kick. My grandkids can go in and do anything with her. I mean, they can put the milker on her, take the milker off of her. She's never had